welcome back to Radically Rational Radio. In this episode, we are going to see the counter coverage of what Tucker Carlson released over this weekend. In today's video, we'll be talking about ABC's response. Let's jump into it.
Hill tonight, where Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy was pressed repeatedly today about his decision to hand over 44,000 hours of video from January 6th to Fox. Overnight, selected pieces of that video were described as peaceful and respectful from January 6th. Tonight, the Capitol Police Chief outraged, Republican senators angry too and speaking out. And it all comes after Speaker McCarthy himself said after January 6th that it was un-American, calling it, quote, the saddest day I've ever had serving as a member of this institution. Here's our Chief Washington correspondent.
A bunch of left side people hating effectively right side people or people who are lost without a party and just looking for America. That's what they denounced. They called that un-American. When you're fighting for a team, you almost can't believe what they're saying. They're not trying to be what's right. They're trying to just make sure that they don't feel wrong. Let's keep going with this.
On it, Jonathan Karl tonight.
Tonight, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is facing questions after he gave Fox News access to some 44,000 hours of raw surveillance video from January 6th.
Speaker McCarthy, why are you releasing those tapes to Fox, sir?
On the 6th, the country and the world.
So they have peaceful footage now. They're choosing to use the rage footage. That's insane. I mean, how can you not get upset when watching violence, and yet here they are, just polluting our minds with it?
The world saw the violence unfold. Overnight, this is what they saw on Fox.
They were peaceful, they were orderly and meek. These were not insurrectionists, they were sightseers.
Despite all the images we
I love the contrast. Go make sure you see the violence second. The last impression is a lasting impression. They want you to remember the violence. How many cities have we seen be firebombed? It is insane that this could even be. You're just lying to yourself to say that this was a riot. Were there people who were angry? Yeah. Honestly, there should have been a lot more people angry. There should have been a lot more people. You shouldn't be causing property damage even if it's public, but just statistically, there should have been more rage and mob mentality amongst that large of a group of people. I mean, when you see how large it is, if it was 30 to 40% rage and anger and violence, it would have been much, much worse. It was less than 5%. It's insane that they want to not only conflate that to make it worse than it sounds, they also want to group the 95% of people who are peacefully protesting. Hey, we have questions, and you're not giving good answers, so it's sort of hard to agree with this election. That's all. If it all made sense, we wouldn't be here, but no, there's definitely questions, and you can't argue that there are valid questions with when the person you've got hard questions, they give you answers that don't sound good, and then systematically you just see the people in power lying to you about whatever they have to. It doesn't matter. The truth is not their game. Their game is to make you feel like they're keeping you safe. And they do that by making you feel like you're in danger.
We saw that day. Rioters smashing windows, beating police officers, and rummaging through the desks on the Senate floor. Host Tucker Carlson showed selected clips with no context to claim Trump supporters who broke into the building were treating it with.
Wait, they gave a bunch of selected clips with no context. Do they let you know that they smoke bombed the front of the building right before people tried to break in? Maybe some of them just broke in because they didn't want to be covered in smoke. It was packed. You couldn't easily move backwards. And then he shows that, look, if this was such an incredibly violent riot like you explained, why is it that there's footage in so many locations where nothing bad is happening, including the QAnon shaman walking around through several areas. I don't see any. There's a lot of paper in there. Not a single thing was set ablaze. Not a single thing was set aflame. That should speak volumes for how peaceful that really was.
With respect.
They're not destroying the Capitol. They obviously revere the Capitol.
Today, the chief of the Capitol Police told his officers Carlson's show was, quote, filled with offensive and misleading conclusions about the January 6th attack. He added truth.
The police chief. The police chief would probably have a great relationship with all of the people who need to keep this narrative. He doesn't get an opinion in this. He has a position, and his position is to be whatever he's told to be. He wants to work tomorrow. He's not going to oppose the primary narrative. And if you read the article, which we may cover in a later video today, it's just a bunch of lawyers speak, a bunch of half-truths, double talk. It barely quantifies. That's why they had to take very small portions out.
And justice are on our side. Several Republican senators expressed outrage at the Fox report.
I think it's bull. There were a lot of people in the Capitol at the time who I think were scared for their lives. So you can, however you want to describe it, but it was an attack on the Capitol.
When you come into the chambers, when you start opening members' desks, when you stand up in their balcony, to somehow put that in the same category as a permitted peaceful protest is.
Can't walk into a public place and rummage through public politicians' stuff. Is it bad manners? Yes. Is it really rude? Yeah, probably. Is this a protest? Yes. Would most people being protested against feel like, just like protest and politeness? If it was polite, a protest wouldn't work. You have to be peacefully rude, and they seem to achieve this great, and a bunch of powerful people just want to be indignant. How dare you? This isn't yours, this is ours. Don't you dare come in here and touch our stuff. If nothing else, they're just showing their hand that this is a class system, and they're playing a game all into its own.
Just a lie.
Today, Speaker McCarthy, who decided to give Tucker Carlson those 44,000 hours of raw footage, dodged questions.
He said that it wasn't an insurrection. Do you agree with that?
Late tonight, McCarthy said he hadn't even watched the Fox segment, but we remember what he said on January 6th.
The violence, destruction, and chaos we saw earlier was unacceptable, undemocratic, and un-American. It was the saddest day I've ever had as serving as a member of this institution.
All right, so let's bring in John Carl with us live tonight because.
So I think we should be really proud of him. They want to criticize him for changing his mind, for realizing that he was wrong, and the best way to do that was through action. He was also part of the narrative. In that time, he was confused, and he even felt a unjustified fear for his life, and he spoke to that. And then as time passed, he had seen that there was clearly no real threat of violence, just the fear, like the fear of monsters underneath our bed, or what's in the closet. Childish fears. We need to be adults. And once he realized that, the best way to reconcile that was to release the footage. It's 44,000 hours. I think it's insane that the committee was created so quickly to lock those videotapes up for so long. I don't think it matters why. Any restriction of information is far worse than misinformation. Truth is the disinfectant, period. And we're going to have the game of politics. Left and right are going to fight, but when you watch these articles, you have to realize they're just trying to make sure that they don't look wrong, and they do that by tearing other people's towers down. Let's build our towers so tall they can't be denied, and let's never try to tear anyone's tower down. We don't need to. We can win on the strength of our arguments. If you like this video, please thumbs up. I'd love a comment. A subscribe would be awesome. disagree with my anarchy beliefs and my volunteerism and my free enterprise, I would love to hear that too. I'm down for the conversation. Y'all just follow in the line of everyone else I've convinced over time. Taxation is theft.